With this movie, we'll go ahead and take a look at a very old school method of doing animation, which is frame by frame animation. It's labor intensive, but it creates a unique and charming look that is really tough to get any other way unless you use one of the shortcut tools that's in Anime Studio Pro. So what I'll do is show you how to create layer by layer, or I should say step-by-step animation if you want. However, Anime Studio Pro really isn't set up to be the most efficient tool to do that with. However, because it does have a great shortcut feature, you can go ahead and invoke that shortcut feature and really get a look that is very similar. So first, let's do it the old-fashioned way, just so you can see how it's done if you elect to do something like this. We'll go through that really fast, and then we'll hop on to the shortcut way. Well, I've got layer 1, and with my freehand tool, I am simply going to draw a circle. And usually for frame-by-frame animation, it's done to have a very organic and changing type of look. To draft characters frame by frame, there honestly is no good reason to do it in Anime Studio Pro because the automation features do that for you. So we'll create this organic, slightly jiggly look for an animation. I'll advance to time frame 1 right here. And we can select everything, and we can do our little trick for translations and click on that. And we get some keyframes added. If I go back up my timeline a little bit, we see those added. Now there's a couple things we need to do to use one of the automation features that's in Anime for frame-by-frame animation, and that is to add a switch layer. Now, as we've already learned, only one layer shows in a switch layer at a time, and as we create new layers and draw over time, it automatically adds the keyframe properties in the switch layer palette to accomplish that. So let me drag layer 1 into our switch layer palette. We can see it's now a subset. We're at time frame 1. I'm going to advance 2 frames. So I'm at frame 3 right now. But I'm going to create a new layer. Layer 1 is selected as a subset of the switch layer, so new layers are automatically part of the subset. We'll create a new vector layer. I can go ahead with my freehand tool, keyboard shortcut F, and this always seems to be the case on the first frame. Well, let me go ahead and show you what I mean. We'll want to add onion skinnings, and we'll want to add relative frames so that that onion skin follows the time marker 2 frames behind consistently. I know our first circle is right over here in the corner, so I'm going to draw one. This seems to be a little odd behavior with Anime Studio Pro, but it stops right after the first frame. And what I mean is stopping is that when we go to frame 5, I create a new layer. We see the onion skin for frame 3. This lets me know where it is in relative space. I can go ahead and draw a new circle. I advance 2 frames, create a vector layer. The onion skinning pops up because it's relative for that. I can draw a new one, advance 2 frames, insert a new layer, and so forth and so on. So that as we do this and have it progress across the stage, we get a shape that changes a little bit. And if I scrub this just a little bit, let me go back up to our top layer, the switch layer. We see all the individual keyframes that are added right there. So we can see this object moving and kind of changing shape as we go through the area. You know, you can do it. It just takes a long time to do that, and if that's the look that you want and you want it hand-drawn, you can do it that way. However, what I will suggest instead is invoking one of the automated features that comes with Anime Studio Pro to create that look really quickly, really seamlessly. We'll create a new document. I'm going to go ahead and draw a very perfect circle over here. We see that. Let's go ahead and give it some random line widths. I'll select the defaults just so we've got that. The automatic features that I'm talking about right now are a function of vector layers, and you can go ahead and simply double click on the layer. Our layer settings options pop up, and under vectors we've got a great little feature called noisy outlines, which creates an imperfectly drawn outline. You can talk about how significant you want that to be. We can also have noisy fills, which creates fills that follow the irregularity of those lines, and you can have it animated so it functions by itself. We're going to come back and visit the animated portion in just a second. So I'll select OK. We see our shape deform, which is exactly what we wanted it to do, and we can change how significant that is back in those layer settings. At frame 72 in the timeline, I'm going to go ahead and grab our translation tool and drag our circle all the way over here. So that as we scrub the timeline, you'll notice the shape change, but this changing shape is really a function of where it is in space. It follows it and looks like, we get a nice little look going on here, but if we want to have a little more active or high energy type of look, that's when we choose the animated noise option. I'll double click the layers palette again. We'll go to vectors, and animated noise goes ahead and creates a lot of random motion for you for kind of that nervous energy or that hand-drawn frame to frame look. So it's a great way to go ahead then and bring that across. And you see it just brings up the activity level a little bit. Really charming look, very nice. You can apply that to any vector object that you've got in your scene. So there's a great way to do frame by frame animation by hand, as well as using that automation tool in Animation Studio Pro to create that frame by frame look without having to go through the headaches of actually creating that work cycle.